So I'm a clinical scientist. I study human motion and human mechanics. So the side effect of that is that I cannot resist but watch people moving and make inferences out of it, like, about their health. So I watch people individually and on a societal level as well. Once I was sitting on Lahore airport and I was looking at, there were many people, who were going towards their flight, and I saw that many of them were taking escalators and willfully avoiding staircases. This was an interesting observation for me. But this imagery completely changed when I landed in Washington, D.C. And I saw that many people actually took staircases intentionally and avoided escalators. So I was interested to know that what is going on here. Like, why there is a difference in trends of physical health, physical activity and making healthier choice. So as a researcher, we go back to the literature and find the data and see what are the trends there, But to my surprise, there was no data on Pakistan's physical activity trends, perceptions, and barriers. So I started this project, the first of its kind, to look at perceptions, barriers, and trends of physical activity between Pakistani college students and American college students. So we had a huge sample of 300 students, half and half in both the countries. Before I go towards the results of my study that are actually eye-catching and striking, I'll describe what is the meaning of being physically active. So World Health Organization describes a person to be physically active if they do 150 minutes of moderate intensity physical activity or 75 minutes of vigorous intensity physical activity. By moderate intensity, it can be like gardening, walking, and by vigorous intensity, it can be running or playing elite level sports, per week. So what did we find? We found that 8 out of 10 Pakistani college students are physically inactive. So this is a huge number, 8 out of 10 Pakistani college students. Moreover, if we distribute our data, we see that, in high intensity category, only 12 out of 100 Pakistani college students were doing high intensity physical activity, whereas every other American college student was doing that. When we factor physical activity with gender, we see that if we have 2 cohorts of women, one is 100 Pakistani women and one is 100 American women, only 7 out of 100 Pakistani college-going women would be doing high-intensity physical activity, whereas every second American college-going woman would be doing high-intensity physical activity. There were striking differences. Another part of this data was looking at the barriers to the physical activity, and we found that Pakistani students face more barriers to physical activity as compared to American college students. And barriers can be lack of motivation, lack of energy, not having a partner to go to exercise, not having facilities and whatnot. There was another interesting part of our survey that was asking people what is the recommended level of physical activity to gauge their health literacy regarding physical health. And the results we found were, again, they were outstanding. So 7 out of 100 Pakistani college students, only 7 out of 100 Pakistani college students were able to answer this question correctly. Whereas the number of American students that answered this question correctly was 10 times more than Pakistani college students. So there were huge differences that we see when it comes to exercise and physical activity between the two countries, between a developing and a developed country. So what is the meaning of this? Like, why we did that? What is the significance of physical activity or not being physically active? So I'm a clinician and I teach students dissection anatomy. What is that? That you have a cadaver, you dissect the body, you go in and you identify the structures. One thing that we teach our students is to differentiate an artery from a nerve. How we do that? For an artery, we tell our students that it would be like a rubber tube. It would be elastic. You'll be able to feel it. When you pull it, you palpate it, you'll be able to feel that this is an artery. For nerve, it would be like a string of guitar. So there would be a difference between the two. And this is how we differentiate, different arteries of the body. So many a times we get these cadavers or dead bodies that have the history of sedentary lifestyle and died of cardiovascular disease. When we go inside these bodies and when we pull their arteries and when we palpate them, they just break off. They come in our hands because they're so stiff that they cannot even resist a small amount of pressure. So this is what is happening inside the body that we see firsthand. If we go to their heart muscles, we see that they are covered with fat. And this is all because of this 10 to 15 years of sedentary lifestyle that they had. Now let me tell you what is happening in living individuals. So, physical inactivity affects every system of your body from head to toe. Research says that we are raising the first generation of kids that would have their life expectancy lower than their parents and their grandparents. Adult onset diabetes that used to be adult onset now is happening in kids as early as 3 to 10 years of age. Physical inactivity is the 6th most leading cause of death all over the world, and the global economics that is spent on managing the implications of physical inactivity is $67.5 billion. So what has happened? Like, why from this data that we showed and we studied, what is happening in Pakistan? What is happening in South Asia, where we see that people are becoming physically inactive? I think that over the period of time, 30 years ago, Pakistani society may not be inactive society. You have to walk a mile to go to bathroom even. But now, the technology came, and after that, the technology came and we sat down, but the awareness to move did not come. Whereas what is happening in the Western society, in the US alone in the last 10 years, there is an increase in healthcare clubs membership by 34%. There is an initiative that has been started by American Medical Association and American College of Sports Medicine that is called Exercise as Medicine, that basically says that exercise is one treatment that has no harmful effects but all beneficial effects. And physical activity assessment should become the part of clinical evaluation of the patients and making clinical diagnosis. A sustainable part, So there is a lot of push in America and Western societies to make their societies conducive to exercise. So what we need to do as a Pakistani society, when we see that our huge chunk of population is physically inactive, this is a multifactorial problem. We can intervene at multiple levels. Number one is to create awareness in people that why this is important. Number two is to engage policymakers, to engage our urban designers so that we can make our cities more conducive to biking, walking, running, to exercise, to have a healthy society. And then to engage schools and colleges so that they have a set amount of time dedicated to physical activity and exercise for the students so that they can become a healthy citizen of the society. So right now, I am presenting this data in 2019 and 20. And this is on Pakistani college students who 80% of those are physically inactive. What does this mean? 60% of Pakistani population is under 30 years of age. That means that this is more than 100 million people. In the next 30 years, this 100 million chunk of people would be suffering from all sorts of chronic problems, and that would create a huge economical impact on an already weak economy of this country. This is a public health crisis that we need to take very seriously. The data shows that. So Pakistani youth right now is cornered by all these problems. Diabetes, hypertension, mental health problems, they are coming. We are seeing them, that they are coming to us. It's just a matter of time. So what they need to do? They need to escape from this corner by walking, by moving, by running. Thank you.